Hello and welcome everyone, I'm TheSparrowsJourney and this is WildStar. This is the first instance available in the game for the Exile side, and I call it instance as a general term. And before you ask, I have this video in fast forward so that it doesn't take too long for you to see the whole instance, because it took me about 45 minutes with this group. This was our first time in here, so we didn't actually know much about what to do. So, instance, because there's two types of instance in WildStar. There's adventures, which is the first thing you're gonna experience as an instance if you do it, and there's dungeons. It's important to know the difference. Mainly, the adventure is more suited, in my opinion, to casuals, to people that just want to have a good time and not worry too much about loot or drops or whatever. So the main difference is adventure has story, dungeons are more linear. So in adventures it really comes to you to what you want to do. The options are there for you to choose and the paths are there. If you want to, for instance, kill a farmer or save it or patrolling an area, or I don't know, I'm just throwing stuff out so that you understand what I'm about to say. So I don't know if you noticed at the start, but I had a choice and we voted, our group voted for what we wanted to do. So the first choice here in the Hycrest Insurrection, which is the first adventure you get at level 15, is to save 2 farmers. Now there's several options for you to complete this step, and in an adventure you have several tasks to complete. Once you complete them all, you finish the adventure and the instance. Now in here, the first option you had, you could save the farmer's daughter or defeat 3 Dominion scientists. I'm reading this on a website. Or return shield pieces to Listen's men. So we chose to save the farmer's daughter. So that's what you are seeing in the screen. Or at least we're trying. Now, what you basically have to do in this adventure is stay out of trouble. That's what I've learned. You can skip a lot of stuff, and that's what you should do if you want to save time. This big baddie over here that we accidentally pulled and we're fighting right now, we didn't necessarily had to kill him. We could have skipped him easily. And there's these sort of source of light on the floor. That's actually because we're doing this at night time, and we're sort of having this James Bond mission. No one is supposed to know we are here and doing this. So when you are spotted in those lights, they call an emergency squad, and you get attacked, and you gotta survive a certain number of waves. Not only that, but you get shot. You also can skip all these snipers that are around, these scouts, and to avoid being sniped and knocked down, you must dodge. You must do a barrel roll. Like I did there. Now you're gonna get back to the farmer. Now it's another choice. It's actually the second one. Yeah, second group of mission choices. You have the Great Escape, the Keymaster, the Jailbreaker. I think we chose to help the families escape, and this is basically, yeah, we chose that one. This is basically going to each house. There are 3 groups of families that you have to save. Going to one house and escort the family out of this place. And that's basically what you have to do. I'm gonna skip the next 2 groups, the next 2 parts of this mission, just because it's about the same thing. So come to this place, kill that first wave, and go to the second house. So I skipped the rest of it, and I'm getting loot now. And this is something different from dungeons. In dungeons you have bosses and you receive loot from the drops. Here you complete tasks, and at the end of the task you receive loot. We're gonna go for the third task, which at this point is Breach of Protocol. That's what we've chosen. And this basically is meeting an NPC at what will end up happening, and we didn't know this by the time we got there, is that we're gonna be ambushed and we will have to survive those waves. Now, my opinion between adventures and dungeons is that it's... oh, that was a very bad black spike. And a level up! That's pretty cool. Level 17. I did this at level 16. We could do this at level 15 as well. The Hycrest Insurrection is something you don't have to do. It's like Ragefire Chasm in World of Warcraft. It's your first instance. But I would recommend you to do it because there's gear, there's a first experience as a group, and there's a first experience as a task you have, a role in a group, which in this case I tried to be a tank, but please don't take this as an example. I didn't even have a tank spec. I used my DPS spec, but it's possible to do this without a proper tank, without gear or anything. That's actually very hard to ask for at this low level. The first dungeon, however, which should be at level 20, that's where you need to ask for a tank and not for just a DPS with heavy armor, which is actually what happened here. So this guy was ambushing us. You can't consider this a boss. It doesn't drop anything at all valuable. And it's not that hard. We did it pretty easily. So we're gonna go to the 4th mission, clearance or raid warning. We're gonna do clearance. That's what most of my group chose. And in this part of the mission, we will have to control some bots and analyze the farmers. It's an interesting concept. It's like a smooth way of introducing instances to people, to new people in MMOs. And they're soft. They are, like I said, I think targeted for casuals, in a sense that they're not hardcore. I know this is tricky to say, but you have your own choices and you can choose your path. And by doing so, you don't focus a final goal. You focus the path or the journey instead. So it's not like I'm gonna go to that adventure and farm that final boss because I need a certain drop. No, there's a story in here. There's something that is happening. In a dungeon, it's somewhat different. It's linear. You know you have a final boss. You know you have bosses before that. That are not as difficult, supposedly. And you just have one way. In here, you have options. And you must choose what you want to do. And if you'd ever noticed, there's not a certain path. We're going from place to place as if it was a battleground of some sort. Now is where the real fun begins. We're gonna go and fight the last boss. This is what you can call a real boss, because it has a drop and it's somewhat an event. So it's very cool actually. I'm gonna go and put it to normal speed so that you see what exactly is happening. So there's this sort of train of troops and we must stop them in about 2 minutes, if you notice on the right side of the screen. And this was pretty cool. I thought actually we were failing because it really took a lot of time. But you basically have to stop this train and fight the big robot at the end. There's not too much of tanking to do in here, not too much of strategies, just avoid the telegraphs and don't be a noob like me. They actually don't even target you most of the time, so you should be safe, even as a DPS. So kill these guys, get into the train, activate the button to stop the train and fight a big robot. That's Hycrest Insurrection in a nutshell for the last boss. You even get trapped in this bubble that doesn't let you go anywhere from that radius. And that should be the most difficult part about it. I'm already talking about it while it's not even happening yet. So before that you have this interesting timed event. And we felt like, oh my god, we gotta do this pretty quickly. We're in dangerous. It really felt like a cool event. What I'm skeptical about is replayability. Like, what would really motivate me to do this again after doing it, after completing it, other than the gear? The other choices, that would be an interesting thing to know what would happen if I had chosen a different option. The problem is, it's the group deciding, not yourself alone. And I risk to say that what will happen eventually in the future is that people to complete adventures will always choose the option that will take less time in order to, you know, do things rapidly and get off with their lives.
Be careful now, love.
Here we go. The event is ending and there's a boss coming. So in WildStar, this is the first instance you have at level 15. You also have right in the void in the Dominion side, which is near Ilium. These two adventures are near the capitals. So the Hycrest Insurrection is near Thaid or Thaid, and right in the void is near Ilium. After that, there's a dungeon at level 20, then an adventure. So those two dungeons, you have again one for the Exile side and one for the Dominion side, and you can do them both if you're just on one faction with one character. So the Exile one is called Storm Talon's Lair, which is I'm about to upload a video on as well. You have also Ruins of Calvary, which I also did in the open beta, and I have a video coming out. So as an Exile, I was able to do this Dominion instance as well. I call it Dominion because it's on the Dominion area. It's not specifically a Dominion instance. You can get to it with the looking for group system and the looking for group window. You get immediately teleported there. Then there's again another adventure at 25 level, which is called War of the Wilds. There's a 30 level adventure, which is called the Siege of Tempest Refuge. There's a 35 dungeon called Skullcano. There's a 40 adventure called Crime Lords of White Veil. So as you can see, they are always mixing up. It's not only always an adventure, and it's not always only a dungeon. You can even pick to do just dungeons or just adventures. I would advise obviously to do them all, because they have approximately about 5 levels between them. So it's good to get loot, it's good to experience some group content, and you know, see what you can do with your role in preparation for raids and stuff. But come on, who doesn't want to do group stuff in an MMO? Probably one of the coolest parts about an MMO. For me at least. So now that we got out of the way, here's the final boss, and here's him death. It's basically avoiding all of the negative telegraphs, which is I struggle to do here. Always being knocked down, and it's not easy because you have this bubble that doesn't allow you to go much farther than this. But it's a cool adventure. It's a cool introduction to an instance in an MMO on WildStar. and it's not just like Ragefire Chasm. Like I compare it with World of Warcraft because it's the closest thing we got. But it's huge, it's big, it has options, it's not a solo thing. Like Ragefire Chasm, you could even do it alone if it was possible level-wise. You notice it's something big, even though it's a starting thing. I'm TheSparrowsJourney, and this was WildStar, the Hycrest Insurrection. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.